Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. My name is Midway and I hope you're having a wonderful day because I sure am. And with the new servers rolling out in Legend of Mushroom, I think it's the perfect time to revisit a guide about how to build your archer in Legend of Mushroom in the current day and age. So we're going to be going over all the basic aspects as well as pointing you in the right direction towards how you are supposed to be progressing as an archer in this game if you're a new player or you are in sort of the mid game. This guide is going to be perfect for you, and I'm sure you're going to be finding out things that you did not know, which are going to greatly increase your power in the game. Nonetheless, before we do that, please go ahead and check out Aptoide if you haven't done so yet. It's going to be links down in the description, and we'll talk about that more later at the end of the video. And if you do use it already, I do really appreciate it, and it does help me out immensely, so I really thank you for it. But now let's get into it. Most basic aspect of archers in Legend of Mushroom is that you are wanting to be stacking first and foremost combo and crit rate. You want to have your combo as high as possible. As you can see right now, I have an insane amount of it, but usually something around 80% going into the mid game is going to be what you want to be aiming for. Usually somewhere around 40-30% crit rate into a 60 to 80% combo. That is your sweet spot, and we'll talk about that a little bit more about how you can play around with those stats later on. For now, of course, I'm showing you my character at the very end game, even though I'm not really a whale, so my stats are a lot more inflated. Going into the relics, you are going to be playing around with the combo relic here as well as the crit rate, and that's what I mentioned before. You can either switch between these two if one of your stats it's a little bit higher than the other between that sweet spot that I talked about. That's kind of going to be helping out to evening out these two stats during that range that I mentioned. Then we are going to be going for the Thunder Color Kite. That's going to be the only really good one here as archers. It's going to be adding a little bit of extra damage, but nothing crazy. Here for the purple one, it's going to be depending on your pulse, of course, but I'm going to be recommending you to go for the Metamorphic Crystal. It's just going to be allowing us to do a little bit more damage, especially with our Octopus, which we'll talk more about pulse in a moment. Then we are wanting to be using the Immunity Book for PvE. That is, of course, the campaign or bosses, and we will be using the Flame Book for PvP. There's no more options here. Then we are going to be wanting to use the Time Statue. That's pretty much the only thing you want to be aiming for. Before you get that, you can actually also maybe use a little bit of Crystal Statue, but as soon as you have the Time Statue, you want to be switching to it. That will, of course, combine together with some other skills, which we'll cover in a moment. And then you will want to be using the Storm Necklace, which is pretty much going to be your best in slot once you do have Clone Strike. Before that, well, pretty much anything you might have is going to be just as good. Skills wise, this is sort of what you want to be aiming for, but of course this is a very end game kind of build. We do have Clone Strike, which as soon as you get it, it's going to be making your power spike just be insane. You're going to be also wanting to use Wild Gust, really strong, a lot of DPS increase with that increased attack by 15% for 5 seconds. Then we are going to be using Disarm as soon as we can, because we are going to be trying to set up a combo chain here with some CC. We'll talk more about that in other videos down the line, as we are going to be revisiting these sort of guides, how we can make our different kinds of builds for archers here. Smoke Bomb also going to be insanely important. A lot of damage comes from this alone, together with some other relics we already covered, right? So as soon as you have Smoke Bomb, get into it ASAP. And finally, of course, other options are Worldly Snare, as well as just straight up a lot of extra damage with that crit once you do use it. We do have other sorts of builds which are a little bit more defensive. For example, this is a very good progression kind of build that I haven't, I think it's just a little bit more advanced, but using Thorn Thicket might make your life very easy early on. It's going to be very powerful for progressing through the campaign because it's going to be slowing down enemies a lot. Blitz Assault, also a very defensive kind of skill, which is very useful in these scenarios where we are really struggling to survive. However, yeah, that's a little bit something for a bit more advanced kind of guide. And finally, I want to mention a little bit of what I would consider a much more progression kind of focus build, which could potentially be this one, where early on you're going to be mainly using Nature's Renewal as Shroom Shield just to survive for a little bit longer. And things like Durian Bomb, Batty Trace, of course Clone Strike are going to be very helpful, but Coin Bomb and Easy Breezy, as well as Take It Slow, all those things combined are going to be skills you want to be having. Also very important, Speed Search, once you do access that one pretty much immediately at the beginning of the game, also very strong. And yeah, don't forget about Thorn Thicket, even though it might not be the most powerful. That slow can make your life a lot easier leveling up. And yeah, again, if you want more advanced guides on skills in particular, we'll cover those in further videos. Talking about pals, we are going to be showing here a setup, again, a little bit more advanced, but this is kind of what you want to be using. You always want to be using your Hydrosphere as an archer. It's going to be allowing you to just cast more skills, pretty much a mandatory option here. The banana, very strong option, but it's going to be very hard to obtain because it's gated behind events where you actually need to pay. But for example, something like the deer, very recommendable, simply because of that damage resistance. Again, very strong in every aspect of the game. And something a little bit more advanced, again, we have the octopus, increasing some of our combo damage and dealing some extra damage when we combo, as well as the treasure dragon. Those are going to be a little bit more advanced kind of options, but we can also use something like this, for example. This is something that I've been also using for straight up just surviving the stages, the higher end stages of the campaign. The snail for slowing down the enemies as they are crawling up to us, very good, as well as the snow general just for the reduction on the enemy's attack speed. We can combine this with some of the other defensive options we talked about in the skill section. And again, if you are really struggling here to put together a build, I have guides that are a lot more specific. You can find them on the channel from a couple months ago. They still apply and they still do the same. There might be some slight changes, but those are going to be fine if you're trying to find a build for the mid game or a lot more for the early game. I have guides specifically for that, so go ahead and search for them. But for this is kind of what I would recommend. I'm showing the higher tier versions of these pals, but any of the lower tier versions also apply, right? So yeah, I could switch away the Storm Dragon here for something like, for example, where is my good old chicken? So we have a little bit more, that basic attack multiplier is very strong, as well as the attack speed. Those two things would always be very damn nice to just include into our builds. But yeah, if you want more specific videos, or rather more specific guides, focus on specific stages of the game, just check out those other guides. Talents, I made a whole video on talents like a couple weeks ago, actually last week. So basically what I'm saying here is that you kind of not want to always be going for attack once you do have enough points. Of course, it's going to be something that's very grindy, but you do want to be stacking up some health as well as trying to get some healing nodes. But the main thing about talents here is that it's not something that's set in stone. You can play around with them and switch them away. Whenever you're struggling to survive, you should be trying to go and straight up just put health and get some healing, get some defense. Don't just focus on being a glass cannon. It's very easy to think that you're stuck, but you are very easily going to be able to unstuck yourself if you manage to switch away and or rather just move some of your stats through the talents onto some more offense, onto some defense if you so desire, right? So builds like I'm showing here, in the case of archery, this is a very balanced one, but for the sake of the other trees here, I am trying to go for some health, some defense, especially some healing. That's what I was really lacking here, so I could survive in the campaign. So something like this is going to be what you want to be aiming for, something balanced that's going to be allowing you to get whatever stats you're really lacking, so you can just straight up unstuck yourself. Souls wise, I mean, at this stage of the game that I'm showing you here, you are going to be having everything, but if you are of course new to the game, you want to be trying to focus on getting the combo damage and boss damage relic here, or rather the soul, on the pink version as soon as possible. And if you obviously are new to the game, you're not going to be able to have the pink versions anytime soon, so just try to not level everything up and try on focusing on leveling up, especially this one in particular. Kind of just ignore everything else and only level this one up to like level 30. It's not even that hard, level 30, something like that, and then you can start focusing on stuff like, for example, the crit damage bonus, so you can level those two up, and maybe a little bit of global HP, very important, as well as the extra attack. Everything else you can ignore early on, because otherwise you might be spreading out your points onto every single soul. It's not going to be as efficient or as effective as doing what I told you here. But of course, as I mentioned with talents, beauty is in that in this game you can just shift things around. The resetting doesn't usually cost too much, so you can play around with balancing out your stats. But if you don't want to be making things a little bit too complicated, just follow what I said. First of all, go for the combo, then go for the crit rate, then go for some HP, and finally go for some attack. Level those up to like 30 and ignore everything else. Avians. Avians is a very complex system in this game. It takes a lot of grinding to get a good avian, but something like what I have here is what you want to be aiming for. And believe it or not, this is not a great avian by any means, but yeah, something like global combo, of course, is what you want to be aiming for as an archer. Global basic attack increase, very damn nice. And finally, some crit damage bonus. Always love those things, right? We do a lot of basic attacks as archers, we do a lot of combos, and all of those things being buffed is great. Now, this Avian in particular that I'm showing you here is going to be nice for us. It's going to be allowing us to deal some decent amount of damage based on our combo, as well as just as dealing some basic attack damage percent onto our enemy every couple seconds, right? So that definitely benefits a lot from the kind of stats we have as archers. Now, you would ideally want to be aiming for some other stats that I cannot show you here, but I can maybe find Super League. There we go. So you can find something like some global combo over here as well, combined with some other stuff. But nonetheless, yeah, that's a lot harder to get. Now, something about gear: if you are not going to be able to get crit rate and combo on every single piece, of course, it's going to be very hard. Aim to always get at least combo or crit rate, and anything that doesn't have those two stats, just scrap it away. But if you can find something like evasion as a second stat, or rather a third stat that's like your third priority, well, evasion would be your go-to. It's the best option after the other two, maybe some regeneration. But yeah, if you can find ideally some combo and crit rate, that's what you want to be trying to get. So here is my filter, for example, just combo, crit rate, and anything else, it's out. Plain and simple, this is what my statue looks like, and this is what your statue should look like too. So yeah, as soon as you complete one page of a certain tier of what you call S, S+, or SS, just move on to a different page and do that with a higher tier, right? So that's exactly what I'm doing. Just go for full global combo. Some global attack is also nice, but global combo is the best for archers. And lastly, for the artifact enchantments here, or enhancements, how you call this actually, enchant, there we go. What you want to be aiming for is for a lot of global combo, right? So look at my stats. I am having a 4 set that increases my global combo and the 2 set that increases my global basic attacks, right? So just look at the icons on the pieces. That's going to tell you what the set is like. And then on those pieces, you want to be making sure that you have global combo on every single one of them, right? So for example, here I have some global combo, not the best piece. There we go. I have a lot of global combo on this one. This one is very damn strong. And then everything else is just nice. There's going to be things that are a little bit better than others. Like for example, some launch, some stun, some ignore launch or ignore evasion, and then maybe some HP or whatever. You can find maybe some basic attack damage resistance or whatever. But the main thing here is just to go for the global combo. If it doesn't have global combo, ignore it. If it's not one of the pieces that we want for the set, ignore it, just scrap it. And then eventually, once you do have pretty much all you could ask for, well, that is it. Eventually you'll get a better one, and then you scrap your previous one and level up the new one, and that's exactly what it is. It's just a little bit of a gamble system. So I think I covered basically all of the basics of all the different systems. I might have left out something out, but if you got any questions, drop them down below in the comment section. Again, I encourage you to look at my previous videos to find out any other builds for specific stages of the game that you might be in right now, or maybe any other classes, and look forward to more videos like this going forward into the future. Now, before you go, let's check out Aptoide. Aptoide is basically just like Google Play. You download apps from it onto your Android device, and once you do so and you start playing those apps like Legend of Mushroom through Aptoide, you're going to be able to earn cashbacks that can go from extra 10% all the way up to extra 35% of any amount of money you are spending, right? So check out the screen, picture you're going to be trying to buy this pack, and we are going to be prompted with this screen where we are going to be told how much bonus we are going to be getting out of this purchase, which in turn, once we do have enough of the bonus, we are going to be able to select it in the form of the AppCoins credits to make the payment for us without actually using our real money. So we can increase this bonus by doing things like using my code, which is going to be down here under the screen as well as the description, and we input that into the AppCoins wallet. Now there's going to be a whole guide down there in the description about how to set the whole thing up on your Android phone as well as on an emulator on your PC. It works on like BlueStacks or Nox or things like that. Just set it up, download Aptoide, download Legend of Mushroom through Aptoide, and then also download the AppCoins wallet from Google Play or whatever. And here you're going to be able to see how much bonus you currently have accumulated, your purchase history. You're also here going to be able to find where you input the promo code that I talked about. Just put it in there, and that's going to be giving you that extra 5% bonus forever. Just never have to worry about it again. You can also see how much more you need to be spending in order to unlock higher amounts of bonuses in the form of a milestone kind of thing. And then finally, you can see active events going on within the AppCoins wallet, which for a limited time will be increasing the bonus you get in these games in particular from 5 all the way up to 10% for usually about 24 hours, right? So all those things combined, that can net you an extra 35% of anything you are spending in Legend of Mushroom or any other Android game by that matter, right? So you can see how this is going to be very damn helpful to participate in those gachas, where as you spend in order to eventually get whatever you want, you're going to be able to afford more packs for free. So in total, it's going to be reducing the cost of things, right? So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think about the video. And if you got any questions about Aptoide, drop them down below in the comment section. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. See ya.